Section 5.2 is about polynomials. A polynomial is a monomial, or when you add or subtract monomials. Something like this would be a polynomial. And this one's written in descending order because it's the highest exponent down. Terms are the word that we give to each monomial that makes up a polynomial. So here this one has 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. Like terms are monomials that have identical variables and exponents. So something like a to the third and a to the fourth, those would not be like terms. But b squared and 4b squared, those would be like terms, and you could add them together. And if you were to add them together, you get 5b squared. It's legal to add like terms, but you can't do anything with terms that aren't alike. Trinomial is the word we use to describe if there are 3 unlike terms. The one you see up here is a trinomial, 3x squared plus 2x plus 5. That has 3 terms. If it only has 2 terms, like negative 7 y to the fourth minus 8, that would be an example of a binomial. Here we're asked to determine if each expression is a polynomial, and if it is, to tell its degree. Well, this example, each one of these are a monomial, so this is a polynomial, so we'll say yes. It doesn't say to do this, but this is actually a binomial because it has 2 terms. And it asks us to find the degree. Well, the way you find the degree of a polynomial is you find the degree of the monomial. So the degree of this would be 8, because remember you add the exponents. The degree of this term is 4, which means the degree of the whole polynomial would be 8, because you take the largest degree of any monomial. This one down here, it looks like it would be a polynomial, but if you remember in the last video, we said that you cannot have an x variable under a radical. Another way of writing this is x to the 1/2 power, and you can't do that. You can't have variables underneath there. So we would say that this is not a polynomial, therefore it has no degree. Here's simplifying 2 polynomials that are being subtracted. One way you can do that is to just rewrite them by dropping the parentheses, except the second one has a -1 that's in front of the parentheses, so we're going to have to distribute that. So this becomes a minus x squared minus 4x plus 2. You can't drop the parentheses until you distribute that negative. Now we'll collect any like terms that we see. 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. Negative 2x minus 4x is negative 6x, and 3 plus 2 is 5. These examples illustrate multiplication of monomials and polynomials. So if you have something on the outside, you'll distribute it. So this will be 2x times 7x squared is 14x cubed. 2x times negative 3x, negative 6x squared, and then 2x times 5 is plus 10x. There are no like terms, so we're done. Now in this one, we have 2 binomials that are being multiplied. A couple of ways to think about this: FOIL method, distribute method. There's also something called the rectangle. I will use the distribute method. Take 3y times 5y, 15y squared. 3y times 4 plus 12y. 2 times 5y is plus 10y, and 2 times 4 is 8. Like terms that are in the middle here. So 15y squared, 12 and 10 is plus 22y, and then plus 8. Now when you have binomials, that's also called the FOIL method. I like to call it the distribute method because it always works that way. There's also a method called the rectangle method that some of you may have seen before. I'll just briefly illustrate it here. It's really another way of foiling. It just organizes the terms differently, and then you multiply down and across. So 3 times 5 is 15y squared. 5 times 2 is plus 10y. 3y times 4 plus 12y, and then 2 times 4 is 8. And then you'll notice the like terms will always show up along this diagonal here. And you can write your final answer as 15y squared, and then plus 22y, and then plus 8. So you end up getting the same answer. It's just another method called the rectangle. I prefer the distributed method, and that's the one that I'll use. Last one has a trinomial and a binomial. Distributing method, we'll take the n squared and distribute it to both terms. So n cubed plus 4n squared. Now we'll take the 6n and do the same. That's plus 6n squared plus 24n, and now we'll take the negative 2. So negative 2n minus 8. Start with the n cubed because we want to go descending order, and then I see like terms of a positive 4 and a positive 6 being plus 10n squared. I see a 24n and a minus 2n is plus 22n, and then a minus 8 to finish it off.